Snoop Dogg, the legendary rapper known for his smooth rhymes and laid-back persona, found himself scrolling through social media one afternoon when he stumbled upon a video. The clip showed a homeless man being mistreated by the police and ignored by bystanders. Snoop was deeply moved. "Man, this ain't right," he muttered to himself. "I gotta see this for myself." Determined to uncover the truth about how homeless people are treated, Snoop called his team and set up a bold plan. He would disguise himself as a homeless man and experience life on the streets firsthand. What he didn't know was that this social experiment would shake the internet to its core. A top Hollywood makeup artist was brought in to transform Snoop into someone unrecognizable. They aged his face with wrinkles, gave him a scruffy beard, and dressed him in ragged clothing. His signature braids were hidden under a tattered beanie, and his flashy jewelry was replaced with cheap trinkets. "Yo, I don't even recognize myself. Uncle Slim is in the house," Snoop laughed, striking a pose in the mirror. With his new identity, Uncle Slim, Snoop hit the streets of downtown Los Angeles. Clutching an old boombox and a cardboard sign that read, "Just need one chance." God bless, he was ready to step into the unknown. The streets were nothing like Snoop expected. Despite his larger-than-life persona, he found himself invisible. People walked by without acknowledging him, treating him as just another statistic. A young businessman sneered at him, muttering, "Get a job, man," before tossing a half-eaten sandwich at his feet. Snoop shook his head, whispering under his breath, "Man, you don't even know who you talkin' to." Hours passed. A kind young woman approached him, kneeling down and handing him a $20 bill. "Stay safe, okay?" she said with a smile. Snoop nodded, genuinely touched. "Much love, Lil Mama." As the night fell, Snoop met Jimmy, a real homeless man who had been on the streets for over a decade. They sat together by a small fire, sharing stories. "I used to have a job, a family, but life can hit you hard, man," Jimmy sighed, offering Snoop half of his sandwich. Snoop took it and shook his hand. "Respect, Jimmy. You a real one." Jimmy offered Snoop advice on where to find food, how to stay safe at night, and even introduced him to other homeless individuals who shared their struggles and dreams. Snoop listened intently, realizing how deep the struggles ran. As the night grew colder, Snoop witnessed the true horrors of street life. He saw people suffering from addiction, veterans who had served their country now living in despair, and families huddled under makeshift tents. He heard stories of lost dreams and shattered hopes. A young mother with 2 children approached him, asking for any spare change. Snoop reached into his pocket and handed her a few dollars, his heart breaking at the sight of their desperation. "You all stay strong, all right? Don't give up," he said, fighting back tears. The next day, Snoop was approached by a former music producer who had fallen on hard times. Recognizing Snoop's voice, he shared how his life spiraled after a series of unfortunate events. "I used to work in the industry, man. But one mistake, and here I am," the man said with tears in his eyes. This moment hit Snoop hard, reminding him how close anyone could be to losing it all. Snoop decided to shadow him for the day, witnessing the struggle of trying to get a hot meal at a shelter and searching for a safe place to rest. He realized how tough the conditions were and how little society provided for those who had fallen on hard times. The first night on the streets was tough. Snoop struggled to sleep on the cold pavement, constantly awakened by the sounds of sirens and arguments nearby. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and his body ached from the unforgiving concrete. He realized that for many, this was an everyday reality. Snoop found himself rummaging through trash bins in search of something edible. He saw firsthand how other homeless people fought for scraps of food and a place to sleep without being disturbed. One morning, Snoop witnessed a group of teenagers harassing a homeless woman, mocking her and throwing trash at her. Despite feeling tempted to intervene, he reminded himself to stay undercover. Instead, he comforted the woman after the teens left, promising that things would get better. "You gotta keep your head up, sis," he whispered, offering her his last bit of change. Determined to take immediate action, Snoop visited a local shelter and donated a large sum anonymously, ensuring that more people would have access to food and beds that night. He spoke to the shelter's director, gaining insight into the daily struggles of running such a facility. He also spoke with city officials, advocating for more programs that support homeless individuals in finding long-term stability and opportunities. Things took a drastic turn when a local store owner called the police, claiming that Uncle Slim was loitering and making customers uncomfortable. Within minutes, flashing lights filled the street, and an officer stepped out. "Sir, we've had complaints. You need to move along," the officer said sternly. Snoop, staying in character, mumbled, "I ain't doing nothing wrong, officer. Just trying to get by." The officer, growing impatient, grabbed Snoop's arm forcefully. Just as things were escalating, the officer squinted at his face, and his expression changed. "Wait, are you Snoop Dogg?" Snoop grinned and pulled off his beanie. "F.O. shizzle, my nizzle." The crowd gasped. Phones were pulled out, and videos began streaming online instantly. "No way. It's Snoop," someone shouted. The officer, now visibly shaken, stammered, "Sir, I'm a big fan." Snoop calmly replied, "Then you should treat everybody with respect, you dig?" By the next morning, social media was ablaze with #SnoopGoesUndercover. News outlets were covering the story, praising Snoop for shedding light on the struggles of homelessness and police treatment. Celebrities chimed in, with The Rock tweeting, "Big respect to Snoop Dogg for keeping it real. We all need to do better. #StayHumble." Snoop didn't stop there. He announced the launch of Uncle Slim's Fund to provide food, shelter, and rehabilitation programs for the homeless.